guys, it's Share the Truth. I am back with another video. I have an interesting request, which I'm quite excited about. We are going to be diving into the Reputation era and reacting to Taylor Swift's Reputation poems. Now, I'm intrigued by this because I did listen to the Reputation album. That's probably one of the two albums, also 1989, that I'm most familiar with when it comes to Taylor Swift, before I did all these reactions, of course. So I didn't really know too much about the poems, and so I skimmed them a little bit, but we'll just react stanza by stanza and kind of give you my thoughts. Why She Disappeared. This is it. Why She Disappeared poem. Okay. When she fell apart, cracked her bones on the pavement she once decorated, as a child with sidewalk chalk. When she crashed, her clothes disintegrated and blew away with the winds that took all of her fair weather friends. Wow. So she's saying when she fell, she completely fell apart. Like, not just a scar or bruise or anything, like she just completely fell apart, which makes sense considering everything that was going on during that time. Cracked her bones on the pavement on the same... I like that part because it's talking about like when she was a child, like she used to draw and enjoy drawing on this pavement, but the same pavement that she enjoyed as a child is the same pavement where she hurt herself. And well, that like destroyed her, you know what I mean? It's like she loved the music industry as a child, and that's what she always wanted to do, was become a singer. And the same thing that she thrived for her entire life ended up breaking her in the end, which is like so sad. With the wind that took all of her fair weather friends. Wow. So she's talking about like once the going got tough, they start stepping. That's what you learn when you get older, you know, you really learn who your friends are when you're going through like really difficult circumstances. Next stanza. When she looked around, her skin was spattered with ink, forming the words of 1,000 voices, echoes she heard even in her sleep. Whatever you say, it is not right. Whatever you do, it is not enough. Your kindness is fake. Your pain is manipulative. That is, oof. Geez. I like that part where she says your skin was spattered with ink. And I'm wondering what that means. I think it means like, when I'm thinking about it, it's like spattered with ink. It's like whenever people look at you, like they get their own like idea of like what they're reading you. You know what I mean? Like your entire body is spattered with ink. It's like people are reading you and coming up with their own interpretation of who you are, even though they don't know who you are. Echoes she heard even in her sleep. So she's saying like, even though people are telling her this, she's also mulling these same ideas when nobody's around, because that's how consumed she has gotten with people's opinions of her, that even when she's sleeping, it's like there's this loud voice in her mind of what people normally say. You know, whatever you say, it's not nice. Your pain is manipulative. You know, we hear that a lot nowadays. It's like, and sometimes people do manipulate their pain, you know, like especially with YouTube, it's like all this drama, but who's to know? You know what I mean? And like, when you get this like idea that people can sometimes take pain as manipulative, it's like, why would you ever want to express your pain if there's even a chance that someone could even see that as fake? And I know with Taylor Swift, she got that reputation a lot. It's like people thought she was fake. They didn't think she was authentic, you know? And I gotta be honest, like I definitely have grown to like her more because I feel like I have a deeper understanding of who she is. And I do feel like she had this wall up before, and that has come down a lot, especially in the last 2 eras. I feel like she's opened up, and like I relate to her a little bit more than I did probably a couple years ago. But she had to kind of go through these like very hard experiences. Next stanza. When she lay there on the ground, she dreamed of time machines and revenge, and a love that was really something, not just the idea of something. So dreamed of time machines and revenge. It's like just wanting to go back in time before all this stuff happened that destroyed your reputation. It's like, I wish I could just go back. Regina Spektor has a line, I should have held an after party for all the thoughts I didn't say. Regina stands, we love her. I love that line, and it just reminds me of that. Okay, next. When she finally rose, she rose slowly, avoiding old haunts and sidestepping shiny pennies, wary of phone calls and promises, charmers, dandies, and get love quick schemes. I feel like, isn't that from Sound of Music? Charmers, dandies? I am 6 bachelors, bandies, dandies. I think that's from Sound of Music, and I love that musical. I think that is from Sound of Music. Am I right? I hope so. Get love quick schemes, you know? It's like, love takes time. And I love how she talks about when she finally rose, she rose slowly, because it's like, people think people are going to have this like crazy comeback all the time. It's like, oh, I'm going to rise, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, healing takes time. And sometimes you can be in a state of destruction for a long time, and it takes time for you to heal. It's not going to just happen overnight. And I think it's nice that she acknowledged that in this poem. It's like, I rose, but I rose slowly. And then wary of phone calls and promises. I think that's talking about the whole phone call with Kanye West that ended up being that whole drama. And so obviously she would be wary of anything, any form of communication after that. I'm sure I'd be scared of having any kind of phone call conversation after all that happened. When she stood with a desolate knowingness, waded out into the dark, wild ocean up to her neck, bathed in her brokenness. Ooh, I love that. Said a prayer of gratitude for each chink in the armor she never knew she needed. Wow. Standing broad-shouldered next to her was a love that was really something, not just the idea of something. Ooh, we love that. Oh my God. There is a lot in here. Desolate knowingness. That is beautiful. I like that because it's kind of being like, even though all of this like desolate, it's like, even though all this darkness and all this like stuff happened to me, like the at least I know myself more than anything else in the world. Like, I have a knowingness about myself that comes through, that can only come through having these types of events happen in your life. I like the part where she goes, well, first of all, bathed in your brokenness is like stunning. We love that. It's just like, sometimes you gotta like really immerse yourself in pain. I mean, that's the thing that I do when I like go on stage and I perform my poems. It's like, I'm fully expressing the pain that I've gone through, and that's the only way that it's helped me personally heal. And I feel like with Taylor Swift, she does that with her music, and I really relate to that. Prayer of gratitude for each chink in the armor. It's like, you get to a point where you're actually grateful for each thing, every scar, every pain, like each chink in the armor. And then of course, you know, out of nowhere, you know, she found a true love, a love that was really something, not just the idea of something, which is like, how many times have we sometimes met someone and we project all of these things that we think they're going to be, and that was just an idea in our head, but we're all waiting for that person that will actually be something. Next stanza. When she turned to go home, she heard the echoes of new words. May your heart remain breakable, but never by the same hand twice. And even louder, without your past, you could never have arrived so wondrously and brutally by design or some violent, exquisite happenstance here. I'm guessing that's a quote. Happenstance. I'm not too familiar. I've never really used that word. That's interesting. Yeah, she has that in quotations. Without your past, you could have never arrived so wondrously and brutally. That's true. Yeah, you know, it's like, without your past, that's just makes you who you are. And I hate that. Like, I hate that, but it's like true, you know? It doesn't feel good when you're going through it, but it is the reality. I wonder who she's quoting in that. Like, who said that to her? because she has it in quotes. You guys know who said that to her? And then finally she says, and in the death of her reputation, she felt truly alive. Wow. And in the death of her reputation, she felt truly alive. You know, it's like reputations, what people think about you, once you get to a point where you stop caring about that, all that is left is you. You know, that's what she's saying in that line. It's like, after all of that is gone, after everybody thinks about me in a bad way, what else is left but to be yourself? You know what I mean? Like, I got nothing else to lose. You know what I mean? Like, what else is there to lose? Wow, that was actually very exquisite. I really love the way she wrote this. And I hope you guys didn't mind like me stopping after each stanza. I didn't know exactly how to do this, so we're just kind of like going with it. But yeah. What is your favorite line off of this? Gosh, I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Bathed in Brokenness, though. We love that. All right, so then there's another poem. What is this one called? I forgot what this one is called. I think it's called If You're Anything Like Me, but I'm not sure. Okay. If you're anything like me. If you're anything like me, you bite your nails and laugh when you're nervous. You promise people the world because that's what they want from you. You like giving them what they want. But darling, you need to stop. I definitely relate to that so much. It's like I completely lose my boundaries. But I know Taylor is talking about this in terms of like everything. You know, she was such like a giver and she always wanted to like please people and make sure that they had a good opinion on her, which sometimes kind of backfired on her. It's like kind of a weakness. If you're anything like me, you knock on wood every time you make plans. You cross your fingers, hold your breath, wish on lucky numbers and eyelashes. Your superstitions were the lone survivors of the shipwreck. Rest in peace to your naive bravado. If life gets too good now, darling, it scares you. Oh. You knock on wood every time you make plans. Wow. Okay. So she's talking about like every time she tries and like plans for good things to happen in her life, like she knocks on wood because she's so used to things kind of going wrong. And I love that because it's like, who can't relate to like when you have a series of bad things happen to you? It's like whenever good things happen, you almost become anxious. Your superstitions were the lone survivors of the shipwreck. Rest in peace to your naive bravado. So I feel like she's talking about like she used to have a time where maybe when she was younger in the early stages of career where she kind of had like a confidence about things going well, and that's kind of been lost. You know, that's the naive part of yourself where you think that everything's going to go well and that your career is going to go well. If life gets too good now, darling, it scares you. It's like now when everything is good, I start to get anxious. That's what I was talking about before. It's like I get anxious when things go well now. Okay, next stanza. If you're anything like me, you never wanted to lock your door, your secret garden gate, or your diary drawer. Didn't want to face the you don't know anymore, for fear she was much better before. But darling, now you have to. Oh, this is so coming of age. Like we need a whole movie. This is like every coming of age movie ever. It's like you're clinging on to your innocent self, but you're not your innocent self anymore. You're clinging on to the naive person you used to be, your teenage self, and you just come to this point. And I feel like me being in more of like my later 20s, it's like I've had to let go of so many things I used to be. I used to be so excited about things. I used to be so ready to like take on the world. And like, I'm not that person anymore, but like, I'm a different person and I'm a stronger person in a lot of ways. And I feel like the way she describes that is so like special because it's like her innocence is being lost here and she's acknowledging that. And she's like, it's time to face it now. Like, we can't just keep trying to be innocent. You can't fake naivete. You just can't. You can't fake it. If you're anything like me, there's a justice system in your head for names you'll never speak again. And you make your ruthless rulings. Each new enemy turns to steel. They become the bars that confine you in your own little golden prison cell. But darling, there is where you meet yourself. I'm reading this for the first time, so I apologize. There's a justice system in your head for names you'll never speak again. And you make your ruthless rulings. Each new enemy turns to steel. They become the bars that confine you in your own little golden. I think she's talking about, like, you know, because she writes about her relationships, right? And so I feel like she's talking about the fact that, she has to write about things that happen in her life and relationships that she's been through in order to break herself out of this prison. And maybe this was like the realization she had when she was making Reputation, is that this is part of the process. But there is kind of like this justice system, you know. Oh wait, justice system, maybe she's talking about like getting even. I don't know, maybe I'm a little confused on this line. Yeah, I think it has to do with like her making the decision whether or not to speak about people again. But I could need more time with that one. If you're anything like me, you've grown to hate your pride, to love your thighs, and no amount of friends at 25 will fill the empty seats at the lunch tables of your past, the teams that picked you last. But darling, you keep trying. I like that. And no amount of friends at 25 will fill the empty seats at the lunch tables of your past. Ha. Oh, maybe she's talking about like, maybe she didn't have friends growing up. Maybe she didn't have friends growing up, and you know, she's saying like, you can have as many friends and you can have as many like people in your life and in your future life, like at 25, but that doesn't take away the pain and tribulations that you had as a kid. It's like, it doesn't take away those wounds. It's like, sometimes you try to fill the void by having like all these friendships as you get older. And of course, I think we do remember, like, she had that little squad and stuff. Like, I do remember hearing about that, and that's kind of what that makes me think about. Like, some of the people that would talk about, like, how many friends she had at the time. And she says, you keep trying, so maybe she kept having all these people in her life to kind of, like, fill the voids of some of the childhood trauma that she hadn't acknowledged. Okay, next. If you're anything like me, you couldn't recognize the face of your love until they stripped you of your shining paint. Until they stripped you of your shiny paint, threw your victory flag away, and you saw the ones who wanted you anyway. Wow. Darling, later on, you will thank your stars for that frightful day. Same theme here. It's like, people, obviously, there's friends that she doesn't hang out with anymore. I don't know really the exact ones, but you can tell she keeps her circle a little bit tighter now. And I just feel like as you get older, you realize the value in that. And I feel like she kind of had that recognition, especially as you're and I'm maybe a few years younger than her, but I'm nearing that age. And you start to realize like, wow, you know, quality over quantity, because people leave you when the going gets tough. When they see you struggling, or when they see people not like you, that is the worst one. It's like, people are like, you know what? I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Like, you're not cool anymore, so I'm just gonna leave, you know? I liked you when you were cool and we were partying, but now that you're going through stuff, it's a little too much for me. And that is one of the hardest things. It's so painful to recognize that. And I'm sure you guys have gone through that. Everybody goes through that. And all of us are just going to continue to go through that. And that just shows you who your true friends are. If you're anything like me, I'm sorry. Wow. But darling, It's going to be okay. Ooh, that is a good one. I like how in the end she dedicates it to people that struggle with the same type of personality complexes like that she does. It's like she understands that it's hard, that it's difficult to break out of these like patterns. And she's talking about boundaries. She's talking about breaking out of the cycle of codependency, learning about who you are, and recognizing that it's just better to be true to yourself and not have people in your life that are only there for shallow reasons, you know? Especially right now with everything that we're going through, I still think that this poem is incredibly relevant because you learn so much about, you know, what's important to you. And I'm not saying friends have to contact you and be engaged with you all the time, but you have a natural awakeness to what is most valuable in your life when things are difficult and things that happen to you. And you know, I think these both were really well written. I actually really enjoyed reading these. I like how it's kind of free written. Like, she does have some rhymes in here, but for the most part, I feel like this is very free written. I feel like it's written from the heart. Emotional catharsis where she was just spilling her thoughts onto the page, and then she probably fine-tuned it later is what I'm getting from here. But I really, really like this, and I enjoyed reading this. Hope you guys enjoyed this too. Thanks so much for requesting it, and hope you all enjoyed. Have a great day. Subscribe. I'm so bad at doing those things. Subscribe, follow my Instagram, follow my Twitter. I don't know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.